On behalf of everyone at WNET, congratulations to Steve Adubato and the Caucus Educational Corporation on 25 great years of broadcasting.
Hi, I'm Bob Iaculo. United Water believes that all citizens need to be informed about the important issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Meridian Health, Wells Fargo, Qualcare Inc., a local managed care company covering 750,000 New Jersey residents, NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Cohn-Resnick, providing accounting, tax, and advisory services for more than 90 years. NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 college savings plan. Turn a dream into a degree. Berkeley College. And by Verizon Communications. Promotional support provided by the Star Ledger and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. And by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and its monthly magazine, New Jersey Business.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here at Lincoln Center. I want to introduce you to my good friend, Ellis Henican. He is a columnist for Newsday, a political analyst down the street at Fox News Channel, and the co-author of a compelling new book called Damn Few, Making the Modern SEAL Warrior. How you doing, Ellis?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
You look great in the light of Lincoln Center, by the way.
Yeah, right?
There's a certain glow that it gives you, I think.
Yeah, it's like there's a gauzy thing going on. There are certain people in our business. You ever notice they have gauze that make them look younger?
You know, and if you could direct the Philharmonic, you might have other opportunities as long as you're here, right?
Exactly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Listen, tell us about Damn Few. The premise of this book is?
Well, we have in America now, after Iraq and Afghanistan, I think, Steve, a frustration with the way we have been fighting wars, right? Where we have to send hundreds of thousands of troops and they stay there for 10 or 20 years and once they get there, the people don't like us anyway, and we can never get out. Given the kinds of enemies that we have today, is there a new kind of warrior that we can create in this country that will be better suited to the realities of the world? And the answer, I'm convinced, are groups like the U.S. Navy SEALs who just seem to be able to get stuff done that almost nobody else can. So I wanted to find out not just the wild stuff they did, but how they did it, how we get them, how we can get more of them, what lessons we can learn, and that's the premise of the book.
How'd you find it out?
Well, I got hooked up with somebody who knows, right?
Who's that?
Well, like most journalists, I know nothing, right? But Commander Rourke Denver.
Rourke Denver.
You like that name,
It's a great name.
It's like
out of Central Casting.
It's like a superhero name. When Rourke and I first met, Rourke is a commander in the SEALs, I said, Rourke, I love your name, but could we change it to Rourke Danger? I said, I think that might be better. But Rourke, after a violent and dramatic series of commando raids around the world, Iraq and elsewhere, has run for the past 4 years training, basic and advanced, for the SEALs. And so he truly is the guy who understands how we find these warriors, how we motivate them, how we train them, and really what goes into that and what they can do. And so it seemed to me that if he and I sat down together, and we did so in a little house out in San Diego near where they operate, and said, you know, let's figure out what really goes into this. And it's an untold story. Nobody's written this book before. There's a whole lot of stuff in it that you won't find in any of the other adventure stories. And I'm really proud of it. I think we've contributed something.
Sorry for interrupting, Ellis. Why do you think no one has touched this before?
Well, I mean, there have been some books about the SEALs, but mostly they've been written from the enlisted guy's perspective. And Rourke is an officer and has really been involved in creating and understanding the psychology and some of the reasons behind this stuff. And I just think that it's, you know, nobody who knew has stepped forward and been willing to say. And so we created this collaboration, and the result is damn few.
You know, it's interesting. It's often been said that the generals, and this is not meant in any way as to disrespect the generals in the military, but they often fight the last war, if you will. I don't even know if that's what you're saying, because you seem to be saying that it's multiple wars. We are multiple wars behind in terms of the men and women that we are recruiting into the military and what it is we are expecting them to do given the current and future nature of war. That's not fighting the last war. That's something much bigger than that, no?
Yeah, you're asking exactly the right question. Think about it like this. Instead of sending hundreds of thousands of troops to some far-off land where the people hate us, what if we could send 8 really well-trained guys, and instead of occupying...
By the way, they have to be guys?
I'm sorry?
Do they have to be guys?
Well, they
I'm
are
curious.
currently all guys, although, as you know, that may well be changing sometimes.
Okay.
But up until now, it's only been guys.
Okay.
They talk about the SEALs as the greatest man club in the world. They may have to change that at some point. But what if we could send a small team of super trained and super equipped guys, and instead of occupying the land for a decade, they go in and they kill 3 people. But it's the right 3 people. How could that change history?
Is this the Osama bin Laden model?
Well, yeah, that's an example of it. I mean, having killed Osama bin Laden as these
And who
guys
did it?
I'm sorry?
They did it.
They did it. They did it.
They did it.
They did it. No one else did it, they did it. And the same way that they rescued that captain who was a hostage of the Somali pirates, and they did a whole bunch of stuff that most of us don't know about.
And we're not supposed to know.
And
they
may
don't
never-
want us to know.
And we may never know some of it. But, you know, it's interesting. Yes, we had to deal, as we told this story, with the issue of secrecy. And there are some things that Rourke would never talk about, and some things I would never write about. But there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. And there are a lot of larger questions about the kind of military we have and what it is we want them to do and where it is we want them to be that we all ought to be talking about.
But Ellis, where does that leave the CIA? Where does that leave, well, first, the CIA.
We need them more than ever. Because, let me
Does
tell
we
you.
need that intelligence?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't want to kill the wrong person. You know, it is a much more precise tool to operate a military that way. It's a scalpel instead of a club, and your information sure better be right.
Devil's advocate.
Okay.
On Fox, you historically, while not across the board and not in every case, clearly advocate a point of view that I would argue is more progressive than the views of many others.
Sometimes I'm the visiting team at Fox.
Fair to say. Someone might argue that what they hear you advocating is the recruitment, the development, and the deployment of a team of hired, trained assassins on behalf of our country in wartime, or at least perceived wartime, and that may not be perceived by many to be an overly progressive point of view.
Well, listen, we're going to have a military. No, I understand the question, and it's a fair, and let me answer it. We're going to need a military. And I don't know anybody, left, right, or middle, who thinks we ought to completely disband the military and raise daisies, right? I don't think
That's
anybody
what we're talking
thinks
about.
that. So it seems to me that what smart people do across the political spectrum, and frankly, this is not that political a book, but smart people, whatever their politics, ought to want a smart military. A military that gets the job done
And
effectively.
limits the number of casualties.
Limits the number
on
of
both
casualties.
sides.
And this may be the most important point, and doesn't cause more problems than we solve. If we go into
For example?
Well, if we hang out in Iraq for a decade, and we leave with more people hating us than hated us when we got there, you know, that's not totally marching in the right direction. If we're going to have a military, let's have one that's suited to the kinds of conflicts we have today, which is not superpower against superpower. It's these roving bands of zealots who wish us ill, and tomorrow they're somewhere else, and this one stands down and this other one stands up. You know, let's answer the threats that we have. And frankly, I don't think that's political at all. To me, that's just smart, common sense.
The reaction that you've gotten to the book, you talk about the book, you've talked about it on Fox. And O'Reilly like it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, listen, I don't speak for O'Reilly.
But he had John.
Everyone at Fox has been very supportive.
Hannity?
All of them.
Yeah, they all like
all of them. I mean, listen, it's a good book.
No, but just curious. On your radio show, talk about your radio.
We talk about it, sure.
Callers, mostly positive.
Listen, I don't think anybody believes that we have the military today that we need.
Clearly.
And the answer isn't just give us more of it.
That's right.
The answer.
Plus, we can't afford it.
We also can't afford it. The answer is trying to figure out what it is that we need in the future. You're right, not the past, in the future. And I've got to tell you, I'm not saying the Navy SEALs have every answer, but they've got a lot of answers. And lately, they've been 2 or 3 steps ahead of everybody else. So if we want to learn some lessons, let's start out by climbing inside their heads and inside their hearts and saying, what kind of guys are these? What is it that makes them effective? And how do we learn from them?
All right. We plugged the book. I'm glad we got it out there. By the way, one more time, it's called Damn Few, Making the Modern SEAL Warrior. Ellis Henican, done in cooperation with Rourke Denver. Good stuff. And in the time we have left, can I throw some other stuff at you?
Sure, whatever you want.
Names.
Names of what?
I give you a name, you give me a reaction.
Bill.
That's what you do. You're a commentator, you're an analyst. You get paid for it on other stations, but this is PBS.
And I've made a living with a short attention span, right? So what you got for me out of
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama, better the first time than the second.
Come on, give me more than that.
Getting better. What do you mean? I think he's doing, listen, he's much more better in term 2 than in term 1 because he's being more Barack.
Okay. Better now than before.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Chris Christie.
I want to hate him and I'm having trouble hating him.
What?
Yeah.
Want to hate him?
I want to because he's obnoxious and he's overbearing.
He's Jersey.
He treats people but wait, hey, you're from Jersey. You've got manners.
Listen.
You've got manners?
Yes, but I like him.
Yeah,
and he's very interesting, and not that I agree with him on everything, disagree with him on a lot of things. But what is there that you like about him?
That he seems to believe in something, that he tells you what he thinks, that there is very little artifice to him, that he is not fundamentally an ideological character, which I think is hurting a lot of Republicans today. And I think he is a modern-style political leader.
Okay. Hillary Clinton?
Not done yet. Not done yet, no. I mean, I think she's the one to beat in the Republican and the Democratic side, right? I mean, there's other names floating out there, but I mean, I think nomination's probably hers if she wants it.
Marco Rubio, real quick.
Not quite ready yet. I don't get the hype.
You should have had that water closer to him, right?
Well, that's completely unfair.
I'm joking.
You're so shallow.
You're very perceptive.
But, it's not just that. And I would say the same, by the way, of my home state governor, Bobby Jindal. There's something not quite ready yet.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, they're maybe the future, maybe Ted Cruz should say the same thing. We are waiting for the next generation of Republican leaders, and I don't think we've found them.
Are we going to have a great Secretary of State in John Kerry?
It's probably the job that he's born to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to see you, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
One more time, damn few. There are damn few people as good as Ellis out there.
Thanks for the plug, man.
Thanks for coming into public television. You know you don't get paid for this, right?
It's whatever. I don't care.
Good, great.
Hanging with you.
We'll be right back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at oneonone.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Laura Walker is the President and Chief Executive Officer of New York Public Radio. Good to have you on again.
It's great to be here.
Last time you were here a couple of years ago, good things are happening, even better things are happening now. Describe for folks who do not know what New York Public Radio is, exactly what it is.
Well, we are now 7 radio stations, WNYC AM, FM, WQXR, which is classical music, and then 4 great stations in New Jersey.
Yeah, the New Jersey piece was not in place at the time.
That's right.
A lot is happening on that side of the river. When we met then, there was not the New Jersey public television station that is today, NJTV, which is operated by WNET, our partner, and this whole thing. The world of public broadcasting, dramatically changing, the digital piece, part of it. You enjoying that?
Oh, tremendously. It's really, really exciting. You know, radio is an old medium, 1920s, but yet we are making this incredible transition into the digital age. And what people want is really great content. They want content that, stands out, that touches their hearts, that, helps them learn things. And I think the intimacy of the audio medium is really, really superb in the digital era, where people can get the content when they want it, how they want it, and listen to it, whether they're underground in a subway, driving in a car, or just at home in their kitchens. And, more and more people are finding audio and, downloading it on podcasts. We have huge growth in podcasts. And there's also a kind of a new talent base that's coming up.
What does that mean?
So there's people that are, in their bedrooms, just experimenting with podcasting.
Talking about talented folks.
There is Alec Baldwin, and here's the thing, and
that's one of his shows on your operation.
Yes, that's our show, and we've started that as a podcast. And
did it really?
It started as a podcast, and it just has. He is such a tremendous interviewer. I mean, whether he's talking to Brian Williams or Lorne Michaels or or
Kristen Wiig. I was just told.
Kristen Wiig, yeah, that was a great interview. I mean, they're terrific, and and these are 20-minute or so segments, and people are downloading them. Millions of people are downloading them and listening.
So hold on, because I call it a show, and so what's interesting is it's not necessarily a show that you have to catch at a certain time.
Exactly.
You download the podcast.
Right.
You like what Alec Baldwin does on the station, just for example,
Right.
and you want to find that particular interview. It's not the same as what.
That's right. And it's destination programming because people go to it.
Right.
But it's not a destination time. And then you can subscribe to it. So then, you can get Brian Williams this week or, whoever is going to be coming up next time.
You can find what you want. And by the way, more and more, sorry for interrupting me, on the television side, and Neil Shapiro has driven this on our end, the president, as you know, and CEO of WNET.
Yeah.
He's encouraged all of us who produce content, you produce it here, that's fine. You better be able to make sure people can find it
That's right.
digitally, because if they miss it on the broadcast side, they have to be able to find it otherwise.
That's right.
But the economics of that, the monetizing of it, if you will, have we figured that out?
Well, I think we are figuring it out, just like everyone in the digital world. I mean, so what we've done is we've gone out there and we've put our streams up. We've put our streams up through, TuneIn Radio, through Stitcher, through iHeartRadio. So we're getting them out all over. And, the underwriting and the membership that's heard on the streams is also heard, whether it's, whether people are listening on their radios or they're listening through Sonos or they're listening on their computers. So that we're able to sustain that. And because public media has diverse sources of revenue. It has revenue from members, and that membership comes in also through when people are listening digitally. As well as corporate underwriting and sponsorship, which comes in. So we're figuring it out. With Radiolab, as an example, we get about 4 million.
Describe that.
Radiolab is a fabulous show with Jad Abumrad and Robert Krulwich. It's about science and creativity. And if you want to, figure out how decisions are made or learn about politics from bees, that's the place to go. Well, the politics of the bee colony is very complex, and they did a little piece on, what Congress could learn from how the bees figure it out. And it's that kind of show that you can hear on Radiolab, and a lot of that is podcast. But we've been able to bring in substantial membership because people all around the country love this show, and so we ask on the podcasts, and people care deeply that there is a place that is, about science. It's about creativity. It's things that they, look forward to every week.
You don't buy the premise, as I'm listening to you. It's presumptuous of me to say it, but it doesn't sound like you buy the premise of the question, is radio dying? And are you necessarily competing, terrestrial radio on the public side, competing necessarily with satellite? But rather, it sounds like what you're saying is there's going to be a place for that piece, but no, we will do these other things as well, and they're not mutually exclusive at all. In fact, no?
Right, exactly. No, I think you said it very well. I mean, it's about people listening on the radio. That's still the lion's share of our audience. But then you add digital, and you add the green space. We have this wonderful, ground floor performance space. So we are on
Describe
air.
that.
We're in person in the green space. It's a space that's wired, so almost everything is webcast. It fits about 120 people in the audience, and then it has a stage, and it's also kind of black box, so you can kind of change it around.
Last time you were with us on one-on-one, you were just opening that.
That's right, and it has proven to be even more exciting.
What's
than
it
I
like
could
there?
have
What's
imagined.
happening there that is different than what would otherwise happen?
Well, it's not just radio in space, although that it is. It is people, like Walt Frazier. We'll put a basketball hoop.
Walt Clyde Frazier?
Yeah, right. You got it. Talking to Brooke Gladstone. Did a great interview.
So he comes.
He talks to Brooke. People come, and there's an audience. There's a live audience. He's watching Brooke, and it's being taped. We had the Met Opera auditions. That was a live broadcast at WQXR. All these, these young 21 to 26-year-old kids, young people who had won the auditions. That was a live broadcast on WQXR. We had boxing, and we put up a boxing match. We have this incredibly exciting thing this fall. The first partner to be able to record all 10 August Wilson plays. And we'll be doing them in readings in the green space with Ruben Santiago Hudson and as the artistic director. And it's just so special.
How involved are you in the programming? I know you're involved in the business. I know you're involved in the fundraising with the relationships with underwriters, et cetera, and the partnerships. How involved are you in the programming?
My involvement is to hire brilliant people and to let them follow their own passions and to then use those passions to kind of explore New York and the world.
You're big on delegating?
I'm big on delegating, but delegating to great people who we have. People like Brian Lehrer, Leonard Lopate, Kurt Anderson, Brooke Gladstone. I mean, these are the best of the best. And all I want to do is support them and push them a little, and try to make sure that they're heard and seen by as many people as they can be.
And your brand, it's interesting with Brian, who's got a heck of a brand and a reputation. How important is it, again, people think because we're in public broadcasting, oh, you're in the nonprofit side. People confuse that with we're not business oriented or we're not bottom line oriented in the sense that we're not economical. We don't think of economies of scale, which is wrong because we tape so many shows here at our Lincoln Center studio, right? We have to be economical,
exactly.
right?
Right.
How much do you think about the branding, the marketing, the positioning of your operation?
Well, I think about that all the time, but I think about it, I think what it means to be a nonprofit is to be dedicated to superb quality and to creating journalism and convening conversation and highlighting music that isn't going to be heard elsewhere. And so all of that is what energizes us every day. We have to compete as much as anybody else. And that means we've got to get out there and tell people who we are and where we are. And we also have to do things in an economical way. And our business model, though, is one that relies on people to pay for something they get for free. And that is...
Try that again.
So our members pay for something they get for free.
Because, okay, they can go on the radio right now. By the way, set it up so everybody knows the stations.
So 93.9 FM, 820 AM, that's WNYC. And then we have 105.9 FM, WQXR. And then we have 4 stations in New Jersey.
On the Jersey
I
side.
won't go through all of them, but New Jersey Public Radio. They are supported, about a third of that is supported by members.
And you can get it for free.
You can get it for free.
But you ask for people to participate.
Yes. Just like you do here on public television. But in our case, 170,000 people have said, they've raised their hands and they say, this matters so much to me that I'm going to pay for this because I want to support it. And what that really means is, yes, they're incredibly generous people. But but it means that we have a much higher bar. We have to be so important to them. I think of this woman, Joyce, who wrote to me right after Sandy. She lives on Jane Street.
Hurricane Sandy.
Yeah, Hurricane Sandy.
Jane Street.
Jane Street in Greenwich Village.
Okay.
And she wrote and she said, you know, we were in the dark zone for many days, and we had one generator. It was outside on Jane Street, and there were never fewer than 20 people there. The generator was used for two things. People were, you know, plugging in their phones and charging them and listening to WNYC. And she said, after a couple of days, I put a tip jar there. And it was a little glass bowl, and it said, for WNYC. And people put quarters in it and dollars in it. And she sent a check for $200, which was the combination of the quarters and the dollars that the people on Jane Street gave. And it meant so much to us.
What did it mean?
You know, it meant that, I mean, she said in her letter, you were a lifeline. And that's why we were all there all day, you know, because we knew that we were a lifeline to so many who had lost power or needed to feel that sense of community that radio can offer. And that's really what's so special about radio. It's that sense of being part of a New York and a New Jersey community of people who come together to help each other, to learn from each other, and to share each other's stories.
You've been doing this for a few years.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me, Laura, is that I've only known you for a couple of years. In our second interview, you haven't lost any passion for this.
No, I love this. I just love this job. I love radio. I love...
With all the challenges and problems
it's so
and the
much
funding
fun.
issues.
But when you believe in something, it's a privilege.
What's the alternative?
Yeah, it's a privilege.
Listen, I want to thank you for joining us, and we're glad to be your partner on the broadcast television side.
Yeah, well, thank you so
All
much.
the best.
Okay, thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. Funding has been provided by Meridian Health, Wells Fargo, Qualcare Inc., NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology, Cone Resnick, NJ Best, Berkeley College, and by Verizon Communications. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
A business relationship with Sun National Bank is the difference between night and day. A great energy rises from New Jersey. It's the pulse of industry, the tempo of technology, the pace of today's entrepreneurs, the best of tomorrow. It's the sound of progress, and we're the bank that's powering it. The financial fuel behind thousands of commercial and small businesses just happens to be Sun. We're Sun National Bank. The difference is night and day.